In this video, we're going to walk through exactly how to fill out the AmeriCorps Services form. And we're going to show you how to complete the AmeriCorps Services wrap-up form when you have a household that transitions into or acquires housing. The AmeriCorps Services form is filled out once per year per household. If you are a returning member that served someone last year and you are continuing to serve them into this year, you need to use this new form because we're talking about this program year. The program year operates from August 1st to July 31st of the next year. The AmeriCorps Services form covers anybody served during that window. This form needs to be completed by the 15th of the following month for the previous month on any households that you worked with. The fields that you'll fill out are pretty standard information. We do recommend that you fill this out as you start working with a household, so you don't have to go back and find the information later. However, you're welcome to set up a system that works for you. So if you prefer to fill this out, maybe at the end of the week or every 2 weeks, whatever works, as long as you are sending them in by the 15th of the month for the previous month. The first piece of information you'll share with us is your name and your service site. Then you will create or use an existing household identifier or code name. So for example, some sites have their own special code names that they use, so you can use that. You can use HMIS entry if you know what that is, that number. But if there's no existing code name or identifier that conceals the household's name, you'll need to create your own. And how we do that is we recommend using your initials, the client's initials, and then the date that you began working with them. The next field that you're going to share is the date that you began working with this household. They may have been in services last year. Great. I'm talking about the date that you, as the AmeriCorps member, started working with them. Returning members, I get that you may have started working with them in May or whatever, but the date that you add to this field needs to be 8/1/21 or after, because again, we're focused on this program year and the people served during this program year. So if you, again, are a returning member and you're filling out this current program year's form for someone you served last year, just put August 1st, 21 as the start date. The next section talks about household eligibility documentation. We created a whole video for you to watch this and understand what we mean when we're talking about household eligibility documentation, so I'm not going to go into it in detail here. But you will need to choose one of the following options. You don't send the documentation to us, you don't upload it to AmeriCorps, but you need to make sure it's on file at the service site. If you're working with a household that is considered low income or experiencing homelessness and you can't access any of these forms, please let us know so we can work with you on coming up with another piece of documentation so we can count that household. Then you're going to share some general household information with us. It's just some demographic information. It's nothing identifying where we don't need to know the intimate details of this household. We want to respect their privacy, but we do want to capture some information. So you're going to tell us if the individual is an adult or child in the household, their age or birth date. Age is pretty much the easiest one to put down, so that's fine. You're going to list gender identity, race, and ethnicity. You are going to ask the individual to identify themselves. You are not going to decide for them what their gender identity, race, or ethnicity is. If the household declines to respond or you don't have that information somewhere else, you are going to leave those 3 columns blank. That's fine. I don't want you making it up for them. They get to decide or share with you. In the next section, you're going to tell us just a couple more pieces about the household. The first, are there any veterans in the household? Are there any active military in the household? What is the monthly household income? You're going to tell us what the household type is, and you'll select the best fit. So there's maybe 1 adult, 2 adults, 1 parent, 2 parent. There's a whole mixture going on. So you could select other or multi-generational. Then you're going to tell us if the household is receiving services because of a natural disaster. So has a tornado struck? Has there been earthquake or flooding, or I don't even know what else, anything like that. You'll select yes or no. And then because we are still currently in this pandemic and people are in need of housing services, you're going to tell us if the household's receiving services because of COVID-19. So maybe they lost their income, they lost their housing because of the pandemic. Then you're going to share with us what types of services are you as the AmeriCorps member providing. The household may be receiving all different types of services by your organization, and that's fine, of course, but just tell us about what you're doing with this household. So maybe you're providing case management, credit counseling, debt management, or budget counseling, whatever. There's a whole list of options. So make sure to select at least one, but select any and all that apply to you in the situation. If there's a service you're providing, a housing service you're providing that doesn't fit in with any of these other options, you can check other and type in or write in what service you're providing that's related to housing. And then you're going to sign off. You're going to say the information I put on this form is accurate to the best of my knowledge, and I'm certifying that the materials such as the household eligibility documentation are on site at my service site if we ever needed to confirm the data that you shared with us. So that's pretty standard, pretty easy information. Again, we highly recommend that you fill this out as you start working with the household, since there is some information you need to capture like in real time. But at the very least, it needs to be filled out and caught up on once a month. I've created an example form for you to look at of what a completed, fully filled out form looks like. So we have our name, service site. We're pretending our site doesn't use code names, so I came up with my own. I used my initials. Then we'll add the client's initials and the date that we started working with them. That date that you see, these numbers, corresponds with the date that I began working with the household, August 31st, 2021. I chose one of the following options for my household eligibility documentation. I gathered the household information, the demographics. I collected the additional household information. And then I shared what type of services I was providing to the member. And then I signed off. So you can fill this form out using a fillable PDF. We have that option if you have access to Adobe. If you don't, we have a Word document that you can fill out. Or if you're the type of member that prefers to print stuff out and handwrite, you can do it that way. Whatever works for you, we have both options available on our website. The next form I'm going to talk to you about is the services wrap-up form. This form only needs to be completed when housing is obtained or services are successfully completed. What I mean when I say successfully completed is they completed a credit counseling course, or they received rental assistance, or they were accepted for a housing or a home ownership application, or they received their mortgage, or whatever that means. That's also something you can report on this form. But primarily this form is used when you have moved someone into housing or they have obtained housing. You'll fill out your name, your service site. You'll use the same household identifier or code name that you used on the services form. You'll tell us what date the services were completed. And this paragraph just describes a little bit about the purpose of this form. And it's just certifying that the household has been placed in housing or that services were successfully completed. And we're completing this form so we can count those households towards our performance measure goal of housing 1,000 individuals. You'll select the proof of housing if applicable. So again, if you have someone that has moved into housing or acquired housing, you're going to tell us what that proof is. You're not going to select any of these options if we're talking about someone that, again, completed a financial literacy course or received rental assistance or anything like that. We have another video that explains what we mean by all of these options. So you'll watch that video and select which one is the best fit for you. And then this form is signed up by you and your site supervisor because we need verification from an external agency that the household was housed or their services were successfully completed. So that's why we're going to have your site supervisor review this and sign off as well. This form is going to be uploaded to America Learns once a month. You should be catching up on this as well. So by the 15th of the month, if any of the households in the previous month completed services or were housed, you're going to fill this form out, get it signed, and upload it to America Learns. If you have a household that exits services early, you won't complete this form. If you have someone that you serve the entire program year or your entire term of service and they don't quote unquote finish, you won't worry about this form. This form is only completed when the household is moved into housing or when they've obtained housing or when services are successfully completed. This is an example of what the form looks like when it has all the data we need. So we have our member name, our service site, we have the same identifier that we used on the services form. We have the date that services were completed. And we shared our proof of housing. So technically this household, we just provided we provided assistance to prevent eviction. And so we help them maintain their housing. So that's another way to describe that they completed services. So I did include that we have a copy of the rental assistance information in the client file. But if we're talking about something else, you know, they're just completing their services, you don't have to select a proof of housing, but you're also welcome to. So if you want to check other and share what that means, so they have like a certificate that they completed counseling or whatever that might be, you can include it there. Then again, you are going to sign off on the member and you will have your site supervisor sign off as well. Again, both of these forms, you can find them on our website under current member resources. You are filling these forms out once a month or once per year per household, and you're getting caught up once a month. You can complete them as you go. That's our recommendation. You can designate time at the end of the week to work on them, or you can just take the 15th of the month every month and work on the reports for the previous month. The wrap-up form, again, you're completing that when a household is moved into housing or services are successfully completed. And then you're also uploading those regularly, at least once a month. If you have any questions on how to complete this form or how it applies to you, or either of these forms, after you watch this video, you can definitely contact our staff. We'll be happy to work through you with it or work with you through it.